Today, we are talking with Grayson Gurnsey. He's a young and talented actor. We've seen him in seasons 1 and 2 of Virgin River, the new Netflix series, which is a success. As we said, we love the series, and we have Grayson today in the show. So welcome, Grayson, to YoQuieroVerte, and thank you so much for this interview.
No, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So, as I said, we watched seasons 1 and 2 of Virgin River, but for those who haven't seen it yet, what is Virgin River about?
Virgin River is about a big city nurse who wants to escape her past and goes to a small town and realizes that she can't escape her past, but has to, live it and deal with her feelings and her trauma, and maybe find love on the way as well.
Okay, and you played Rikki. We loved your character. I have to say that I really love the bond that he has with his grandma and how they support each other. What can you tell us about your character, about Rikki?
Oh, well, he's this really lovely kid. He's super honest and sweet, and he lost his parents at a very early age. I don't think that's a spoiler. Uh, and his grandma has kind of grown up as this. He's kind of grown up with her as this simultaneous mother figure and friend, and it's a very interesting dynamic and relationship. And Jack is also kind of his father figure. There's a lot going on with them, but sweet kid overall.
Okay, and maybe when preparing this character, when building the character, did you include maybe some similarities with your personality? Do you think that maybe you have some points in common with Rikki, or not?
Oh yeah, no, I have a ton of things in common with Rikki. We both stutter a lot. If you noticed on the show, I trip over myself a lot. That's me in real life, and um, I drop things all the time. They haven't done a lot of it on the show, but I drop things. I'm super clumsy, and just all these funny little random coincidences that I seem to have with the character just makes me feel very very in touch with him.
How did you prepare? For the auditions, did you audition for this character? And how do you find this process of auditioning? Is it something that you like, or maybe is something that can be a little bit stressful? I'm curious about that process.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I really thought I did a bad audition. I had prepped like I always do. I tried to come as off book as I could. I worked on it. I had it coached, and I went in the room, and the audition was going pretty okay. And then I started like dropping lines. So I was forgetting my lines, and I was saying the wrong words. And at one point, I called my grandma, my mother, and I was like in the middle of the audition, and I was so worried, and we just gone through that scene. So I was like, okay, it's the first take. They're gonna let me do it again, just to get a clean take so the producers will be happy. And the casting directors were like, okay, thank you very much. You can go now. So I panicked a little because I was like, oh my God, the audition was so bad. They didn't want to see a second take. So I was like grabbing my pieces of paper, my sides, and I was like, all right, have a good day. But I was like, oh, it was kind of upsetting. So I leave the audition. I call my mom. This is hotly debated, but she says I was like really upset. I thought I was disappointed. She said I almost cried. But it was a really stressful audition. I was like, it's gonna be a long time before those casting directors even see me again, much less put me in for put my name in the ring for this show. And then 2 weeks later, they called me and asked if I wanted to come on to set in a week, which is pretty
Oh,
short notice, but it was a lot of
yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Virgin River scene? Maybe one that you played, or it can be one that other actors played. And also maybe a backstage favorite moment, maybe some anecdote you can also tell us about of the backstage experience.
Oh, there's a lot of funny scenes and funny moments. My favorite moment that I got to play was in season 2. I guess it's a spoiler, but him and Jack are kind of having that little argument. They're talking about how he crashed the car and stuff like that, and Rikki kind of like yells at him a bit. That was super fun because the character's never raised his voice. He's never been aggressive in any way. So it was a cool change to have that for the character. One of my favorite scenes overall. I'm like a sucker for like Doc and Hope scenes. I don't know why. They're like their love in the show is just amazing. So it's kind of hard to nail down a scene, but those are like when I watch those specific scenes with those two, I perk up a bit. But one of my favorite things that happened on set, it was my first day on set for season 1, and it was the scene where Mel comes into Jack's bar for the first time, and there's that moment where Rikki sees her and he's like, wow, she's really pretty, and has that, and then leaves, and then he eventually comes back in. I don't know if they show that in the final cut, but he comes back in, and they originally wanted me to go through these bar doors with like pint glasses, like those really tall beer glasses on a tray, and they were super unstable, and I was really nervous going through them, but I'd done it a few times. I felt confident, so I started like having fun while doing it, and I was getting comfortable on set. So it was halfway through this like 5-minute scene, and I go through the door, and I I like walk through the door, like just goes back, and it hits me in the back, and I drop all of these glasses in the middle of this 5-minute take, and I was like, oh my god, I've ruined the take. But Martin, who plays Jack, just kept going. It was the funniest thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I picked up the few glasses that weren't shattered or completely broken, and I put them back in place, and I ran off, and I hid. I hid away from the camera so that they couldn't see my extraordinarily red face. It was a funny scene. I'll never live it down, even now.
Yeah, well, you were mentioning some of the characters and the other actors, and all of you are really talented, and all of the stories of the characters are rich and deep, and all of them have a really deep and beautiful story to tell. And well, I think that's because the characters are so well built. How did you prepare to build your character and to perform Rikki the way you do?
Oh, it's not like it's super simple, but I did take a lot of inspiration from how I would feel in these moments, especially when he's a little bit more emotional or more upset. But there was so much lore and character already built into these books. There's so many of them. There's like 27 books or something like that. So I haven't read all of them yet. I'm still working on it. But every time we're gonna start for a new season, I like read 2 or 3 books just to like get the feeling of the character, and he does change quite a bit from the book to his on-screen version. But it gives me this real feel of that naive sort of kid, but still has a good heart, but with some sensibility. It's kind of what I do every time we get renewed. I like listen. I like listen and read like I put it on Audible or something, and I just go around and I listen to like 2 books before we start filming the next season. So yeah, it's a ton of fun. I'm listening to some books right now. So
Yeah, when watching Virgin River, at least what happens to me is that I would like to live in a place like that, and I think that it's amazing when art makes us feel that way, right? So,
yeah.
how did you decide to become an actor? Was it something that maybe you started feeling when you were a kid, maybe later? How did you discover your passion for acting?
Yeah. Well, it's gonna sound ridiculous, but there was this Jackie Chan movie that I watched when I was like 4 years old. I think it was called Who Am I? It was from his uh, like early-ish career, and uh, I just loved the work and the acting and the physical side of it, and I was like, I want to do what he does. And my mom was like, well, he's an actor, sweetie. And I was like, cool. I want to do that. I want to do that. And she was like, absolutely not. That is a horrible career choice. And it is one in a million at best. But I kept on persisting, and around the age of 8, after about 4 solid years of asking, they finally let me start taking acting classes, and that's kind of where my career started to start, I guess.
Oh, did you ever consider another career, or was acting always your first and only option?
Acting has always been my first and only option. I mean, like every now and then I go, oh, it'd be fun to do something completely different or random, but most of the time, honestly, I love my career and my choice. I would never give it up for the world.
That's great. And what you said about persisting and being focused on your goals, that's amazing. What things do you take into account, or maybe you consider essential or very important when deciding to audition for a part, or when you decide to accept a job? What things do you consider essential?
Um, I mean, I consider it's funny because like I messed up my lines so much, but I consider for an audition, coming as prepared as you can in the way of knowing your lines, knowing what's going on in the scene. It's more important than the lines personally to me. If I know exactly what's going on in the scene, sometimes the lines won't always be there, but the intention will be, which is uh, not preferable. You should have both. But if you have to prioritize one, knowing where you are in the scene and the emotional feeling is the thing I always try to focus on. But yeah.
Good, good. I was thinking that in your career in the film industry, as in every career, there are challenges. What do you think are the challenges that maybe a person can find when working in the film industry? And maybe what would you say, or what piece of advice would you give to someone who wants to start a career in acting?
Um, One thing that it's everyone says this, but it's so hard to truly fathom sometimes. It There's a lot of rejection in our industry, and some people just really, really have a hard time with it. That's completely understandable, but it really weighs some people down, and it really uh, it's very hard for some people to exist in this career and have this and live this life. But it's it's one of the first things you need to understand, that you're never going to win them all. And if you book one in every like 15, 30, 40 auditions, you're an amazing actor. You're working more than basically anyone else. And uh and you gotta you got to just know that it's going to be like sometimes 1 in 100 that you're going to book. You're going to go out for like 100 auditions. You're going to maybe get one. And sometimes actors go for years without working. So it's just like, try to be patient and try to understand that it's a process, and it takes a really long time to get your career rolling, but to always be trying your hardest and doing your best is, I think, what I'd say.
Great. What are your dreams for your career for the next years? What are, maybe if you can tell us some projects that you may have? What are maybe those dreams for the near future for your career in acting, that when listening to you, it's beautiful to see how much you love what you do and how passionate you are about it.
Yeah. Well, I would love to do some crazy, weird sort of indie movie or something like that. You know, something that's a little off the walls, maybe like a weird sort of offbeat comedy, just for the fun of it. I love those kind of auditions, but something that I would also, well, I mean, something that I do have on the books is we are eventually going to start filming season 3 of Virgin River, because that is
Great.
confirmed. But yeah, otherwise, you know, don't really have anything on the horizons just yet. But yeah, I'd love to do. I can't wait for season 3 of Virgin River, and I also can't. I can't wait to try some, you know, weird, crazy movie just for fun.
Well, you mentioned fun as something important, right? And before you said that acting has always been your first and only option, how would you put into words the way you feel when being on set, when acting, when doing this that you love so much?
It's very hard to explain, but it's an adrenaline rush. And it sounds so dumb, but I get so tired after I'm on set. I I will be on set for like, you know, sometimes it's a really short day, only like six to like 4 hours, super short day. I'm barely on set. But this kind of thing about you being on and you're performing, and you don't want to drop the ball, and you want to do really good, and you want to have a lot of fun. Sometimes when I'm driving home, I'm so tired. I'm like very possibly going to fall asleep at the wheel. So I have to like pull over and take naps or get a coffee or something like that, because it's truly, it truly like tires you out sometimes. And I asked other actors, I was wondering if it was just a me thing, but this insane adrenaline that comes with this work really does put a lot of actors out. So it's common apparently. So it's not just me.
Great. Okay. As I said, we loved Virgin River. Why can't people who haven't still watched it can't miss watching Virgin River on Netflix?
Oh, it's just too much fun. It's such a sweet show, and I really, uh, I think it's one of those shows that you can sit down and you can watch and you can have a good time through all these. You know, 2020 was an incredibly stressful year for the entire world, and I think Virgin River came out at the perfect time for us to all have a good show where we can just really really relax and just consume fun, uh, fun like heartfelt media, which is not as common as you think nowadays. Honestly, you can't find a lot of it, so it's kind of rare.
Yeah, you are right. And where can people follow you on social media and know more about your work and about your future projects and about Virgin River?
Oh, well, I have an Instagram, which is basically all I'm on. I also have Twitter. So my Instagram is Grayson, Grayson, and then _ _G. I also have a TikTok, but please don't follow that. I haven't posted anything. Yeah, basically just Instagram. I don't post to Twitter anymore. I barely look on Twitter anymore. So just Instagram, please.
Okay.
But Twitter is by the same name. So if you want to follow, go ahead. But like, I don't post anything.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Grayson, for this interview. I mean, it's great to listen to you talk about your passion for acting and for art. We think that is really inspiring, especially during these times. And we really believe that when we do what we love, we are really happy, and we can also make other people happy too. So thank you so much for being today on our show. And would you like to say some words for the fans of Virgin River here in Argentina?
Thank you guys so much for watching and your incredible support. You know, it's heard all around the world, and I'm happy that Argentina gets the chance to watch the show, and you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Grayson, and everyone go watch Virgin River on Netflix. Such a good and beautiful show, and with such a talented cast. So don't miss watching it, Virgin River on Netflix. Thank you very much, Grayson.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.